Good morning. It's back to school time, so today on Spotlight, we'll focus on preparing our young people for the jobs of the future, from the skilled labor shortage to entrepreneurial success. What are we as a state and Southeast Michigan community doing to teach and raise awareness? We'll address that today with Todd Saxe, founder and president of Saxe Construction, and a little later in our program with Maisie Gillis, Vice President of Human Resources for Guardian Industries. It's Sunday, August the 25th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. I would imagine that right now is a construction person's dream.
Well, I'm going to say yes and no.
Okay.
Right? It kind of goes both ways, right? So, yeah, there's a lot going on, but as we all know, there's a shortage of construction trades. There's not enough skilled trades in our market, and quite frankly, nationally. But I would say that local is in much worse shape than they are in most other cities in the country.
Is that right?
We'll probably have, even though we may have a lot less construction than there is in many other cities, as you and I were just talking about some of the other major cities, we have the largest gap between skilled trades and the need for skilled trades.
And Mr. Saxe, why is that?
So a couple reasons, but I would say the number one reason dates back to 2008, 2009. You know, we lost so many of our skilled trades in the Great Recession. Many of them did one of two things. Either they left town, you know, they went to another city and now it's been long enough that they've now made roots there, they have their jobs there, or they switched careers and they got into a completely different career. And we've not done a very good job in this market, and many other markets, but particularly this market, about bringing up younger people into the trades. So now come 2019, or even go back to 2014, 15, when we're really starting to get a lot of construction around here, there's just not enough skilled men and women to fulfill the needs of what we have here.
So one, we have to groom people into the skilled trades, and two, we have to also try to attract some of those people perhaps who left to come back to this region. How do we fill in that gap?
So a couple different ways. One, we're focused on the youth because it's going to be very difficult to take I'll call it a middle age or somebody in their 30s or 40s who's got a different career and try to get them into the skilled trades.
Right.
Very
Plus,
difficult
if they left
to do.
To go somewhere and they're doing okay, they're going to say, why do I need to turn around and come back when I'm doing okay here?
So we're really focused on the young men and women, particularly of Detroit. We put on an annual event every year called the Saxe Construction Academy. Just for example, we bring in 500 Detroit high school kids. We bring in 40 of our trade partners, and we introduce them to trades and say, here, if you're not interested in going to college to do this or that, and this is an area that you think you can do, then we show them how to be plumbers or carpenters or pipe fitters or whatever it may be.
And these are good, well-paying jobs.
Well, this isn't a knock on architects, but the average electrician makes more than an average architect.
Is that right?
Right? So, I'll call it a 15-year or 20-year architect is going to make less money
than a 15-year. So you're talking six-figure salaries.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they can make a great living, and it's transferable, right? So it's if you're a skilled tradesperson, you can take that job anywhere, both locally or regionally, whether the project is in Detroit or in Lansing or wherever it may be. You can transfer that skill to anywhere.
Are you finding that young people are receptive to it if they get the message? Because I've interviewed, the CEOs of DTE Energy and others who will say, we're working with the Randolph School and other places in Detroit, trying to get young people to realize that these are good paying jobs. They're jobs in which you could be your own employer to a great extent. And it's a skill that once you learn it, you've got it for life. And we always need people with the skilled trades.
So two parts of that. I want to kind of take them backwards. One, talked about the skill you have forever. It's one of the few skills that literally, if you think about it, through the, not hundreds of years, but thousands of years, it still existed. We always need carpenters. We've needed carpenters for thousands of years, right?
True.
Right?
I've been looking for one lately myself.
Right, exactly. We need plumbers ever since plumbing was invented, indoor plumbing, and that hasn't changed, and it's not going to change. We're always going to need those skills. So that's going to be it's not something that's going to go away. And then your question was, are people interested? I'm going to say yes, and we need a lot more, I'll call it like this. We need a lot more, I'll call it from the public relations standpoint, from government, there needs to be a message out there that it's okay, that it's a respected profession.
Yeah.
You know, that it's our society views a skilled tradesperson no different than a TV talk show, you know, host, or a chef, or an architect, or a manager of a retail store.
Because everybody wants to feel good about whatever profession they're in and not feel as though they're in a profession that people may look down upon.
Exactly. So we need to have a whole societal change. And quite frankly, I think it needs to start literally from a whole public relations standpoint, whether it be from government, from the schools, and not say, you know, hammer bad, book good. Well, wait a second. Being a skilled tradesperson is a highly respected, very difficult, very challenging, both intellectually and physically, and just ability to do those things. And any one of the skilled trades, I don't care if it's, you know, painting or pipe fitters or, you know, electricians, and we need to, as a society, embrace that, which is very different if you go overseas, whether you go to Australia or all the European countries. Skilled trades, men and women, are equally respected as any other profession. In America, we've somehow, you know, didn't take that attitude over the last 20 or 30 years. And I think it's hurt us.
All right, we need to take a short break. We'll come right back. And I want to find out a little bit about your own success story.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. Don't go away. Tell me about your story. How did you get involved in the construction business?
The short story is, because I know we don't have a lot of time in this segment.
You give me the abbreviated
Right. I'm actually graduated from the University of Michigan, actually a pre-med, got into medical school and said no thank you. I started a window washing and maid service business in high school and in college. And then after college, I started buying student rental properties in Ann Arbor. And I was the maintenance guy and renovated the kitchen and so on and so forth. And then one thing led to another, had an opportunity to build an apartment complex in Ann Arbor when I was 26. Had no idea what I was doing.
Did you have other family members that had been in the skilled trades?
Zero.
Okay.
My father was a furniture salesman. And just kind of one thing led to another. And then in 1991, after kind of dabbling in maintenance and construction, I got a phone number and made up a really creative name, Saxy Construction. You know,
right. Rhymes with taxi.
Right, exactly. Rented a 10-foot by 10-foot office in somebody else's office and tried to convince somebody to hire me to build them something. It's just kind of been organic over the years, and been blessed with the two most important things, which is great team members and great clients, and put those two things together. And you know, over 28 years, you know, kind of been evolved.
You've done small, you've done medium size, you've done large.
Right? Yeah, we kind of jokingly say we'll build anything from 100 to 100. You know, from $100 to $100 million or more. And we work throughout U.S. and Canada. We're licensed in all 50 states and all of Canada. And actually, about half our work is outside the state of Michigan, and half of it's here in southeastern Michigan. And we do all types of commercial work: office buildings, shopping centers, banks, restaurants, hotels, apartment buildings, tenant improvement, kind of a lot of different things.
As you look at what's going on here in southeast Michigan, across the state, because I just was in Grand Rapids a few days ago. They're doing a lot of building in downtown Grand Rapids as well. But other cities that we've discussed off record that are really building, there's sort of this race and this battle between who can build the most and who can have the best skyscraper and around. Are you optimistic about where construction business is headed, and particularly in this city?
So I'm very optimistic about it, both locally and nationally. I'm a big believer in it. That, you know, again, as we talked earlier about it being a profession that people thrive, but it's also never going to stop. The construction industry is always going to be there because we're always reinventing ourselves, whether it be our interior spaces or our buildings or our needs.
Right.
And as industries change, whether it be retail or industrial or healthcare or higher ed, we're always evolving and changing, and we need to, and the construction industry needs to keep up with that and be there to support all the other businesses and industries in our country and our world in order to keep things efficient.
What role, if any, should government play in all this? We know that private enterprise is involved with it because it's their profession, and so it's in their own self-interest to try to groom the next crop coming up, or worked with the various unions that are helping have apprenticeship programs. And I know there's a lot of that going on right now. But what role should government play in this?
I think government play a couple different roles. One, as we talked about earlier, is saying the message that it's a profession that is respected. If you go all the way back, and this isn't a political statement, but you asked about government, if you go back to the 1980s or early 1980s, kind of call it the Reagan administration, there was this big push that if you don't go to college, you are somehow, that's like a bad thing. And that was the message that was sent. I think the government needs to send an additional message. Going to college is great, but going to a skilled trades is another path that is equally as respected and socially accepted. So I think that's part of it. And I'm actually a big believer that the community colleges should take on a much bigger role in these skilled trades.
And more young people are going to community colleges because they can't afford the four-year colleges.
It's way more cost effective.
And it's a good entry-level way to be able to get in.
I'm not going to call it entry level. How about the fact that I just graduated college and I'm going to go to Wayne Community College or Oakland Community College or Washington Community College or any one of them, and I'm going to go become an electrician. And I'm going to go to that college and come out of there as an electrician, and let those colleges provide that for these young men and women coming out of high school, and then it'll raise the whole level of kind of maybe social acceptance to it. It's a way more cost-effective way to do it. It's also right now, like we're doing, as I mentioned, the Sac City Construction Academy in October. The morning is for the high school kids, and the afternoon we're doing a job fair for Detroiters, 18 to 25-year-olds, and we're having our 40 trade partners there, electricians and carpenters and all the different trade partners, and say, if you're looking for a job, come. And we have companies that are going to be there saying, we are hiring, so we're trying to bring people in to do so. We got to just change that whole thing. So government needs to do that on the education side, and in the messaging, I think is really, really important. I don't think there's a single skilled trades partner out there that we have that isn't looking for quality people who want to work hard and learn.
Right.
There's that much work out there.
All right. Great message. Hopefully, young people out there listening, and some older people as well who may want to change professions. And best of luck with the academy.
Thank you.
Make sure that we'll put a website on the information so people can
we can get you that
information.
It's on May 22nd. I'm sorry, October 22nd.
All right,
so we'll get you that information.
Right around the corner.
You got it. You got it.
All right.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thank
Appreciate
you so much.
It.
Best of luck with everything you're doing.
You got it.
We'll be back with more guests on Spotlight right after this. Don't go away. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Macy Gillis. She is Vice President of Human Resources at Guardian Industry. And welcome to Spotlight.
You.
Good.
Thank you, Chuck. Good to be here.
Every time I think of Guardian Industries, of course, I think of Bill Davidson, who started it. It's been without us now for about 10 years, but certainly the company is there and the legacy of Bill Davidson is there. Bring us up to date. What is Guardian so involved with now? You're all over the world.
We are one of the largest glass manufacturers in the world. We also have an automotive trim business called SRG Global, and we like to think that Bill's entrepreneurial spirit is still there with us every day, and we're making him proud.
Your industry is very involved in not just making glass, but also reaching out to our young people and trying to make sure that we're sort of grooming those next generation of entrepreneurs, correct?
Yes, we are very committed to an organization called Youth Entrepreneurs. It's a major area of focus for us from a philanthropic perspective, and we're actually having a lot of fun. We've been in Detroit schools now for about 4 years, and so we're getting to have the pleasurable experience of watching some of our students from 4 years ago and seeing how well they're doing and understanding how the curriculum impacted their lives.
What prompted this?
Well, Youth Entrepreneurs as an organization has been around actually for about 30 years, but we just brought it to Michigan about 4 years ago. We are partnering with public schools and some charter schools in Detroit, and we also consider our customers to be the teachers who we teach how to deliver this curriculum. They really enjoy it. It's very interactive, it's fun, it's hands-on, it gets the students up out of their seats.
America was built on entrepreneurship, but I think there's a sense that maybe over the last 25 or some odd years that we sort of lost some of that spirit. But I think we're starting to see a generation that is sort of re-embracing that now, that they don't want to necessarily work for a major corporation for 30 or 40 years, that they want to do their own thing. And if they go into a corporation, they want to go in there just long enough to learn what they need to learn and be able to get that experience, but then sort of do their own thing. Is that your sense?
It is my sense. Even the students who go on to work in a corporation or to own their own business, they can bring an entrepreneurial spirit to that. And these young people, it's really fun to watch how they respond to the curriculum, to ideas like discovering their own innate capabilities, their own passions, beyond what might be reflected in a standardized test. We hope that our Youth Entrepreneurs curriculum really helps them discover, hey, what is it that I uniquely have to offer?
When the young people come inside Guardian, what are they seeing and what are they doing?
So some of the students, Youth Entrepreneurs is actually a curriculum that is offered for an entire academic year at school. We do have interns at Guardian Industries who are students who have gone through the curriculum. So we then get to show them how we apply these concepts at work.
And how do you help to develop this particular curriculum so that it works and it's doing all of the things that you just articulated, so that down the line, as you indicated when we first started, that now you're starting to see the fruits of your labor, that you know that 15, 20 years from now, this is really paid off for our society?
That's a great question. Really, it comes from the students themselves. So we teach them core concepts that they may have never heard before, such as cost of goods sold or subjective value of every customer. And then we can see that sort of gets the wheels turning with these students, whether they're manufacturing skincare products, which some of them do, manufacturing t-shirts, learning how to braid hair. It doesn't matter what their focus is or their passion is. We teach them just some business basics, entrepreneurship basics, and free market principles, and we let them apply.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about something that we hear all the time and we're debating in this state, and that is how do we make Michigan a top 10 education state, and what you're doing that would help contribute to all of that.
Great.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. Macy, we hear all the time that Michigan is not where it should be in terms of competition with other states as an education base, in the development of education and what we're producing. Do you see that as you're working with these individual schools, and where is it we may be missing the mark here, and where do we need to improve upon?
What we're really focused on, Chuck, is removing barriers to entry. And by that I mean, because each student has a unique combination or permutation of talents, we don't want there to be just one pathway to success, such as passing standardized tests and going on to college. That's a great path for some people. We want to remove barriers and help young people discover their own capabilities and then find out the best way to apply those capabilities to serve other people, and then also make a good living and have a meaningful career for themselves.
What does a particular curriculum kind of look like if you really drill down on the curriculum?
If we really drill down, we take one either free market principle or economic principle at a time, and we try to get students connected to that. So one example might be creating a minimum viable product and just connecting students with the fact that you don't have to have something perfected before you bring it to market and start testing it on customers. That alone removes a barrier in a lot of students' minds, thinking that they have to have something perfect to deliver.
Let's flip it from the side of the student. When they first come into the program, what is it that perhaps they're most afraid of? And what is it that you have to break down to make sure that they become a willing participant in all of this?
It's such a great question, Chuck, because what these students tell us very sincerely and really very sweetly is that they always imagined that to be successful in business, you had to be wearing a stiff suit and sitting in a dark room, and it's invitation only, and nobody really understands how to get there. You know, it's kind of interesting what is in their mind, and we connect them to the fact that no, you have access to this today, and the greatest way to access it is understand what you have to offer, what you're good at, and then think about why a customer might want that, and then we help them build that bridge.
How do you see this paying off for Guardian Industries down the line? I mean, you're all over the world, and you're obviously a very successful company.
Well, we see it paying off, Chuck, because we have experienced over and over again in the plants that we operate all over the world. We have people who enter our company as frontline operators, maybe working on a piece of equipment. And when they show the right attitude, the right interest, when they're willing to accept feedback and help us help them discover their talents, there is no limit as to how far they can go in our company. And so we'd like to get that message out to as many young people as possible. Like so many other companies in the state of Michigan, we need talent more than anything else.
Guardian is still growing?
We definitely are still growing, yes.
Any long-range plans that you can discuss with us without your competitors saying, what did she let that cat out the bag with?
Yeah. Well, we definitely think we have a lot to offer with our array of products, and we are global. We are more global than any other glass company in the world. That teaches us a lot about managing diversity and actually building upon the diversity that we have across our company globally. It's a real strength, and it's an opportunity for us to learn.
All right, and a Michigan treasure as well. All right, Macy, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much,
It's a
Chuck.
pleasure. Best of luck. If people want to get involved in the program, is there a particular website or something that they can go to, or they just call Guardian Industries? Or
There is. They can go to guardian.com, and we have a link to youth entrepreneurs through guardian.com, or they can go directly to youthentrepreneurs.org and hear testimonials from students and things like that.
All right, very good. All right, Macy Gillis, thank you so much for joining us today on Spotlight, and best of luck with the program.
Thank you, Chuck.
And we want to thank you at home for joining us. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the Spotlight. We hope you have a great week.